Imagine yourself in a room where everyone is chasing success. Some work hard, stay honest, and adhere to their values, while others lie, manipulate, and trample over anyone who gets in their way. Yet, it's often the ruthless who manage to rise to the top. Why does it seem that the world favors the worst among us? Look at history, politics, or business. Countless examples exist where individuals, despite lacking scruples, have amassed extraordinary power. From merciless emperors to cutthroat CEOs, the pattern persists. This isn't a random occurrence. It's woven into human nature, rooted in our evolutionary psychology and societal structures. In a world of scarce resources, competition is inevitable. Those who pause for fairness often get left behind, while the ones willing to exploit, deceive, and dominate are the ones who prevail. This unsettling truth forces us to ask, is morality simply a handicap in the pursuit of power? Yet, history also teems with stories of the downfall of those who climb by ruthlessness. So the question is not only how they rise, but whether their triumph is sustainable, and what it means for those who refuse to forsake their principles. Nietzsche saw power as an undeniable force of life, neither inherently good nor evil, but simply a fact of existence. To understand why the worst succeed, we must first grasp the nature of power itself. For Nietzsche, this meant diving into one of his most controversial ideas: master morality versus slave morality. Picture two warriors on a battlefield. One is strong, decisive, and fearless, taking what he desires and reshaping his world without asking for permission. The other hesitates, waiting for validation, seeking fairness and hoping that virtue will be rewarded. Which of these two is more likely to survive? Which one is more likely to lead? Nietzsche argued that morality isn't a universal truth. It is the product of power struggles throughout history. He saw two basic moral systems: master morality, which belongs to the strong, the rulers and the conquerors, and slave morality, the doctrine of the oppressed. This isn't just theory. It explains why ruthless individuals often gain dominance while those who value kindness and fairness struggle to advance. Master morality values strength, courage, ambition, and power. For those who subscribe to it, what matters is whatever enhances their capacity to dominate and create without waiting for approval. They define their own worth and take charge of their destiny, viewing weakness simply as a barrier to overcome. In contrast, slave morality belongs to the powerless. It venerates humility, obedience, and self-sacrifice, teaching that suffering is noble and that power is inherently corrupt. Nietzsche saw slave morality as a system developed by those incapable of direct dominance, a psychological strategy to survive in a world ruled by the strong. Yet, the bitter irony is that slave morality does not prevent the rise of the ruthless. Rather, it condemns ambition and the pursuit of power, leaving control in the hands of those who disregard traditional morality. While the well-intentioned hesitate, those who embrace master morality seize control, and in a world where hesitation means defeat, the outcome is almost inevitable. What does this mean for us? Should we cast aside morality entirely and follow the ruthless path? Or is there a middle way that reconciles strength with virtue? To answer that, we must delve into the psychology of those who attain power, the individuals who refuse to become victims of circumstance. Imagine a vast, untamed wilderness, where survival is not about kindness or fairness, but about strength, adaptability, and the willingness to do whatever it takes. The lion does not ask permission to hunt, and the storm doesn't apologize for its destruction. Nature doesn't reward morality, it benefits those who endure and dominate. Human society mirrors this primal battle beneath our laws and social contracts. High-stakes competitions in business, politics, and life reveal a common trait among successful people: ruthlessness. Not necessarily in the sense of cruelty, but as an ability to act decisively, without being hindered by guilt or hesitation. This is not an accident. It's an evolutionary adaptation that has allowed individuals and empires alike to seize control in a world that doesn't wait for the hesitant. Psychologists have identified traits that predict success in competitive environments: high ambition, low susceptibility to fear, and, perhaps controversially, a dampened sense of empathy toward those who obstruct progress. This doesn't mean that every powerful person is a psychopath. Instead, it suggests that many successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and conquerors, from Julius Caesar to today's business moguls, share the quality of decisiveness. They don't seek permission to lead, they take risks and deal with consequences afterward. This explains why the ruthless often rise while the hesitant linger on the fringes. Yet there's a paradox: mere ruthlessness is not enough. Those who wield power without wisdom often face dramatic downfalls. The very traits that help one ascend can also lead to ruin. A tyrant ruling through fear may ultimately be overwhelmed by the forces they once controlled. Does the fact that the ruthless seize power mean that fairness and morality are destined to fail? Not necessarily. To understand, we need to challenge one of modern society's deepest illusions, that the world is fair. From childhood, we are comforted by the notion that good people are rewarded and that justice will ultimately prevail, a belief reinforced by fairy tales, religious teachings, and moral philosophies. Yet reality presents a brutal contradiction. The hardest workers aren't always the wealthiest, the most honest don't always lead, and the kindest often end up shattered. This isn't a flaw in the system, it is the system. Fairness is, to a large extent, a social construct, a narrative designed more to maintain order than to mirror reality. It's a comforting delusion, but an illusion nonetheless. Power and success are not awarded on the basis of merit alone. They are taken, fought over, and frequently hoarded by those who understand the game better than others. Psychological research even identifies a phenomenon known as the just world fallacy, the tendency to believe that life is inherently fair and that people ultimately get what they deserve. This belief encourages passivity. Assuming that goodness alone will lead to success blinds us to the competitive reality underlying strategy and power. Meanwhile, those who reject this comforting lie are already moving ahead. So does rejecting morality mean abandoning all principles in the pursuit of power? Not at all. The key is to understand the game without becoming its slave. Many suffer by assuming that simply being good will suffice, but those who learn to combine strategic thinking with integrity can rewrite the rules. Nietzsche's philosophy wasn't about mindless domination. It was about transcending one's weaknesses while staying true to oneself. The secret lies in understanding power without letting it enslave you. One of the most common mistakes people make is believing that life should be fair. It was never meant to be that way. The fiercest competitors learn early on that complaining about injustice is a waste of energy. Instead, they grasp the rules of the game and leverage them to their benefit. This doesn't imply abandoning ethics, but rather recognizing that power itself is neutral. Those who understand its nature wield it most effectively. Many fail because they assume that kindness alone will secure success. However, power is rarely given, it must be taken. This doesn't mean you need to embrace cruelty, but you must be able to read people strategically, understanding motives, anticipating moves, and navigating deception without resorting to it yourself. Most people are paralyzed by fear of failure, rejection, or standing alone. In contrast, the Übermensch develops inner power by embracing discomfort, taking risks, and carving out their own path despite opposition. The most effective leaders don't ask for permission. They create opportunities where none exist. There's a difference between thoughtless ruthlessness and controlled decisiveness. The first is careless destruction, while the second is the capacity to make tough decisions without hesitation. Sometimes, power demands walking away from toxic relationships, making unpopular choices, or facing uncomfortable truths. This isn't cruelty, it's strength. The challenge is in knowing when and how to apply it. Often, the ruthless may rise quickly but also fall just as fast, because their power is built on exploitation rather than creation. In contrast, the true Übermensch builds something lasting, whether it's a business, an idea, a movement, or personal transformation. When you generate real value, you become indispensable. There's no need for manipulation because your power is earned, not stolen. Can you succeed in a world that rewards ruthlessness? Absolutely, but only if you stop playing by the old rules, stop expecting fairness, and start mastering power on your own terms. Yet, this leads us to the ultimate question. Is power inherently evil, or is it simply misunderstood? Power is the force that shapes the world, affecting both those who wield it and those caught in its grip. Nietzsche argued that, in its purest form, power isn't about harming others. It's about overcoming oneself, striving for greatness, and creating new values rather than succumbing to society's imposed morals. However, because society prides itself on virtue, those who seek power are often met with suspicion. But what if this suspicion is misplaced? What if, by rejecting conventional morality and establishing your own rules, you are instead embodying life's most genuine form, a form that is raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic? Nietzsche didn't view the will to power as merely a desire to control others. He saw it as an inner force, a drive to live fully, transcend current limitations, and evolve into someone greater than you ever imagined. In this light, power becomes an ethical pursuit, one that challenges you to break free from societal constraints and define your existence on your own terms. Of course, not everyone who seeks power is virtuous. The path chosen can lead either to enlightenment or destruction, with the difference lying in one's intent. Is the quest for power about imposing your will on others, or about a journey of self-overcoming, shaping reality to match your highest aspirations? Power itself is not inherently evil, it's a tool. When used by someone of integrity, it can lead to incredible achievements. Yet, when power is used solely for selfish gain or to oppress, it exposes the darker aspects of human nature. Nietzsche challenges us to reconceptualize power, not as something to fear but as a skill to master through discipline, strength, and an unwavering commitment to personal growth. If this exploration of power and success has provoked thought, challenged assumptions, and sparked deeper curiosity about life and philosophy, then remember that understanding and growth are ongoing journeys. Embrace opportunities to learn, share these insights with others, and continue striving toward a more powerful, authentic life.